Hey guys, my name is Haley and today we're going to be filming all the books I have checked out from KU. I use Kindle Unlimited a lot. I have probably saved quite a bit of money from using it instead of me having to buy all of the books that my library doesn't have. So we're just going to jump right into, I wouldn't say it's a TBR because some books I will keep out from KU for like months at a time, but these are currently all the books I have checked out. I want to say there's like 17 or 18 of them, which is pretty average for me, especially if there's like a current series that I'm reading. But let's get into it. So the first book we're going to talk about is Guild by Raven Kennedy. This is one of those books I've been meaning to get to for months. I honestly think I've had this out since like the beginning of the year. So this is a prime example of some books I will just keep with me out on KU until the mood reading strikes for it, because I am a huge mood reader. But this is a book about a retelling of King Midas, and that is all I know. I know a lot of people have read this and absolutely loved it, and I started to put it off for earlier this year just because I knew they were redoing the covers and I really want the white versions of it, which I believe are the ones they're releasing at Barnes & Noble. So just in case I love the series, I wanted to wait for some of them to be republished so that I could buy them immediately if I love it. But yes, we have Guild. Next up, I have Bonded by Thorns by Elizabeth Helen. That is her name. And this is just a reverse harem that I've been meaning to get to for ages. I just have not been in a reverse harem mood. There's like 2 books on here, I believe, that are. And sometimes I get that mood strikes me and I just want to read all of them. So whenever that mood strikes, I will be ready. Next up, we have a couple I want to say that I have physically, in which I will also most likely read them on KU because I read on my Kindle more than I do physically 90% of the time. But the next one is How Does It Feel by Janine O'Reilly. This is just one of those books that literally no one talks about. I think it has to do with the Fae, and it just got republished and I think got a new cover, but I'm going to read it on KU either way. I do own it physically, but again, Kindle's just more convenient, so there's another one. Also, there is not really any rhyme or reason to why I check a book out from KU besides that sounds interesting, I'll just keep it in the back burner in case the mood strikes, and I keep them all in their own little folder on my Kindle so I can keep track of how many I have checked out. Literally, sometimes I'll just download one after if I hear a booktuber rave about it enough and download it and then not end up reading it and return it. It's a really nice like alternative for your library, especially if you're someone who has a library that has like holds that are months long. If it's available on KU, I'm way more likely to get it there than I am at the library. Next up is an example of one that I just got out because of like 2 reasons. 1, a booktuber that I really enjoy raved about it, and 2, because it is recommended for people who love For the Fans by Nyla K, which was one of my favorite books of last year, and that is Wrath by Ellis James. I literally know nothing about this besides that I believe it's male and it's for people who like For the Fans. So I think it might be Step Brother because that is what For the Fans is. So I will eventually read this. Next up is another example of I have heard several booktubers just absolutely rave about this, and I know next to nothing about it besides the fact that it's a mermaid romance, and that is Whispers in the Deep by Emma Hamm. This, for 1, love the cover. For 2, I have heard so many people, a lot of the monster romance girlies who I watch absolutely rave about this and love it. So that has kept me intrigued enough to keep this out. I think I've had it out for like a month or 2. I'm pretty sure it was on my TBR for this month and haven't read that yet, but we'll get to it soon. Next up, we have The Glow Up. This is just a rollover from Pride Month. It is by Kara Malone, who is a local author who I met at a book event a couple months ago. So I just wanted to get to another one of her books. I've read a couple of hers in the last few months, and she writes, I believe, exclusively sapphic books, or mostly sapphic books, so I wanted to get to this one soon. Then we have Molly Boys by Vaughn Cassidy. This I don't know anything about. I believe it's male because it is under her pen name Vaughn Cassidy, which is the Dead series, which you've heard me talk about a couple of times in the last couple of videos that I've filmed. So this is just another one of her books that I want to get to as soon as possible. Don't really know anything about it, assuming it's paranormal because all of the other books I've read by her are paranormal. And then we have Serpentine Valentine. This is a book I've heard about since even before it came out, but Gianna Darling is not a author that I've ever been interested in, but this is a sapphic, like dark sapphic retelling of something, I want to say. I know it's sapphic and dark. I don't think it's a Medusa retelling. I know I have another Medusa retelling on here, but this is a book I want to get to soon. I'm way more likely to try out new authors if they have a book on KU, which is the case with Gianna Darling, because again, none of her books have ever interested me, but this one did. So hopefully I get to it soon. Then we have the Medusa retelling that is Stoneblind by Natalie Haynes. Yes. And this, all I know about this is that it's a Medusa retelling and I love the cover. So if anybody has read this, please let me know down in the comments below, because I don't think I've heard very many people talk about it at all. Then we have another one of my reverse harems, like why choose books. Again, I get in the moods for these every so often. And that is Hate by Tate James. I know this is one of the most recommended ones of like all time when it comes to reverse harem. So I have Hate. I also own that one physically because I got it in like a Target sale a couple months ago, but we have that. And then we have Waysider by KJ Sutton. I know next to nothing about this besides the fact that I'm pretty sure it's paranormal, especially based on the cover. It has really high ratings, and also it was recommended from like you know how Kindle will like give you recommendations to other books and series when you finish a book? It was in the recommended section of Dead Serious by Vaughn Cassidy. Obviously has been one of my favorite things I've read this year, so I was like, sure, I'll try that one out, and I really like the cover, so we're gonna read this hopefully soon because I've been in like a spooky horror thriller paranormal mood, so I think this one will get read pretty soon. And then I have Proud. This is just a queer anthology that came out, I want to say, during Pride Month. I haven't got to it yet because I'm very bad at anthologies, but if you're going to get me to read an anthology, it's either going to be a horror one or a queer one, so we have this for when the mood strikes. And then we have Fly With Me by Andy Burke. Sorry, Andy Burke, I don't remember. But this is an airplane sapphic romance. It was on my TBR for June. I did not get to it because I read like 700 things and had 700 more on my TBR. But I was planning to read this on the plane for the trip that I just went on to LA to go see Star Kid, and I did not get to it. So we'll see if I do end up getting to this or if it ends up getting returned to KU or not. You'll find out. And then we have a book I just keep hearing people talk about since it came out, and I haven't read it because it's huge, so I'm probably not going to buy it physically, but if you're going to get me to read the huge book, it might as well be on KU, and that is When the Mood Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. I know this is recommended by people who loved Fourth Wing and want something similar. I don't know how accurate that is because a lot of things with like dragons or any fantasy is compared to Fourth Wing now, and as someone who has read a lot of fantasy in her life, I don't think a lot of those things are that similar to Fourth Wing, but this one does seem to be close-ish from the few things I've heard about it, so I'm hoping to get to this soon. It's just huge, so it may take a while for me to get there. Then we have Pen Pal by J.T. Geisinger. I know this is a book I've had out, like, from KU multiple times. I've returned it and got it back out, returned it, got it back out. I have not read it, I have not even started it, but J.T. Geisinger is an author I've been wanting to read for a while, and I like the idea that this is a non-traditional HEA. Like, it doesn't necessarily have a happy ending, and nobody has spoiled it for me what that means, and I quite enjoy that. So this has always intrigued me. I'm hoping to get to it soon. I really like the Barnes & Noble edition that has, like, the words on the sprayed edges. So I'm hoping I love this just so I can own that and justify it. And then I have 3 of the novellas by Piper CJ for the Night in Its Moon series, which has been one of my favorite series of this year and of all time. Those are A Night Without Whispers, which is Odrin's story. And then we have Wing and Arrow, which I'm really excited for because I really enjoy the character in that one. And then we have A Year in Tea and Honey. So I know nothing about, they're just little novellas in between each of the books about a bunch of the side characters. So those will be very quick reads to get to soon. But yes, those are all of the books I have checked out on KU. If you have read any of these or any of them are on your radar, please let me know down in the comments below. Also, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave a... Is there an arrow? Is there an arrow emoji? If not, leave the heart emoji with the arrow through the heart down in the comments below just to let me know that you made it to the end of the video. Thank you all for watching, and I will see all of you guys next time.